MCT powder versus MCT oil. Which is better? So,
well, powders are always plated to something, right? That's how you get the powder. So you need to know what that substance is. And not just that, but look at the calorie content, look at the grams in a serving on the product. So this will tell you what percentage of the serving is MCT oil and what percentage is whatever they plated it to, right? So you can very easily look at the fat content, and let's just use 10 grams as a serving for an example. And if there was only 5 grams of fat, that means that the other 5 grams are whatever it's plated to. So ideally, that's a 50% ratio, 50-50. Ideally, you want to see that number be closer to like 70 or higher. So in my example, you would have 7 grams of MCTs and 3 grams of whatever else it's plated to. So that would be a 70% MCT oil to powder, which is very good. So you want to do a little math and get as high percentage as you can on that.
And you want to read the ingredients label. So read that ingredients list and watch out for things like maltodextrin, because some forms of maltodextrin can spike blood glucose, which is the opposite of what we want when we're eating a keto diet. So we prefer looking for acacia fiber. And of course, you've got to trust the company. That's what's on the label is in the packaging. So if you find like MCT oil for like $2, probably don't buy that.
Right. And those ones that are higher percentages, like the 70% example that I used, are typically going to be the more quality brands.
Yeah. And don't be afraid to test your blood sugar, especially when you're using new products. I mean, that is the gold standard for figuring out, well, how does this thing impact my body? Because remember that we're all bio-individual. We're all unique. We're very, very similar, but we're also all unique.
We're unique snowflakes.
Yes. So look, that's just kind of our safety net. If it says acacia fiber, then we go ahead with it. And then the labeling trick that Jeremy shared. So how do you use it?
Well, we've talked at length about what to do with it,
I mean,
right?
it's the perfect coffee creamer substitute. You know, you get an MCT powder. You can find so many flavors. I know Perfect Keto has salted caramel. They have vanilla. And there's other brands out there. I just know that Perfect Ketos are plated to acacia fiber.
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of flavors, chocolate, and you can whip it up so easily into a delicious
and I find that
coffee.
if you're the type of person who's just looking for a way to cut the taste of black coffee, I happen to really like black coffee, so that's not me. But some people want to add cream to their coffee to cut the bitterness of the taste. And so a lot of these coffee creamer versions, like the ones from Perfect Keto, you can use a quarter or half of a serving and get the desired effect, right? And still be taking MCTs.
Yeah. So it really comes down, so do you use oil or do you use powder? And that really comes down to personal preference. So if you've got like a milk frother, you've got a blender and you can blend that oil into your coffee and get it to combine, and that works for you, use the oil. I go back and forth between both. If it's easier for you to have an MCT oil where it's not so much work, you just want to put it maybe in your coffee to-go cup, put it in, shake it up, and be done, then maybe a powder is better for you. The powders also come with flavor. So if you're looking for a flavor and you want it to be quick and you don't really want to concoct your own coffee, which is kind of what I do, then use a powder. It really comes down to what's going to work best for you. And, take a look at the prices and figure out what's affordable, what fits in your budget, and what's going to work. So for those of you who hate black coffee, maybe a powder is a good option. For those of you missing like a vanilla coffee creamer or different coffee creamers, maybe that's the best option for you. But play around with it and figure out your preference. As far as what we do, we're all over the place. Sometimes we make it from oil. Sometimes we make it from powder. We really...
Just depends. We might be testing something.
Yeah. So we really don't... when Jeremy's at work, when he used to be in the office, then he was more likely to use a powder because it traveled.
Right.
You know, it was easier on the go. But now being at home, that's changed.
Yeah.
So you'll figure it out. Don't be afraid to try different concoctions, like recipes, to get your flavor right.
You know, and if you are working from home now, like your coffee snobbery, you know, like the bounds are, you know, you can just go crazy with your coffee snobbery right now. Whereas like going to the office, you're like, oh, I gotta have this carrot coffee, or I've gotta have this bun coffee. Like, oh.
Yeah, and keep in mind that coffee is one of the most heavily sprayed crops.
Right.
With chemicals. So coffee is an area that we are organic, you know, unless we're out and we get a coffee somewhere. But we say organic with our daily coffee just to minimize our exposure to those toxins.
Yeah, and we're well aware of what organic really means. It's just that we're trying to reduce our load.
Our toxic load, yes. All right, and no, it's not just something for coffee drinkers. MCT oil I shared earlier I love to mix it into tea. So my favorite tea is ginger tea, but it makes any kind of tea, it makes it kind of a creamy, like think about chai tea lattes, right? Like it makes any kind of tea really creamy and delicious. So if you're a tea drinker, that doesn't mean you still can't have a delicious drink.
Yeah.
I follow the same exact recipe for my tea as I do for my coffee.
Like you could mix it into cream cheese and make a flavored cream cheese dessert thingy. I don't know, I just thought of that.
Yeah.
Look at me being a chef.